Welcome. It's 3:30. Hey, Matt. It's 3:30. We're going to talk about breaking into some buildings. If that's all right with everyone. First thing I'm going to do is take a selfie for the, obligatory speaker selfie. Can we get like a hands up or something? Yeah, there we go. Woo! I like it. All right. Got that out of the way. Okay. So I have to start with apologizing to the Locksport people. I razzed them a little bit in my presentation summary and throughout my talk here and there. Locksport is literally an art. Like, the people that are good at this are amazing. I'm not amazing, and I'm not patient, so I'm a bad fit for that hobby, but they're pretty awesome. So I do poke with a little bit of fun, but also super, super high respect for them. Okay, so let's talk about this photo for a second. Unclear what's happening. Some sort of ninja guy in broad daylight is crowbarring your back door. I don't know. This is apparently what B&E looks like on the internets. So you're welcome. We're going to talk about physical pen testing today. My name is Eric, and I used to like He-Man. So if you know who He-Man is, sweet. I'm the director of security testing at the Cadence Group. I like some things like 3D printing, 3D designing, driving race cars, riding BMX bikes, and I have some school and some letters. Here we go. And if Ficker is my Twitter handle, so if you have any questions, but you're too shy to raise your hand or yell out, which I highly recommend, please do that if you're comfortable doing that. If you're not, tweet to me and I'll answer those after the fact. Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things. Here's the topics. So we're going to talk about engagement planning for physical pen testing, how to look at a site and determine where you should be going, what you should be attacking, your methods of attack. Welcome, Pope Classic. We're going to talk about latches a little bit because that's the main thing we're attacking, and then wrap it up. Okay, so number one thing you need to do is understand what your client is looking for. The client thinks, oh, I want a physical pen test. I want to make sure my locks work. Cool. What does that mean? Does that mean that I come in and we meet and then you introduce me to all your people and then we start messing around? Does that mean I'm coming in at night with ninja clothes or during the day with ninja clothes? That doesn't really work as well. And what is the driver for the engagement? Okay, is there most of the time I see this type of pen testing, or that we're contracted this type of pen testing, is for corporate governance. Somebody on the board said, hey, can someone break into our building? We know we have a firewall, we've got some blinky boxes. Can someone break into our building physically, get on the network, do things that we don't want them to do, etc.? It's not often driven by compliance, PCI, FedRAMP, that kind of thing, although they could bolt it on sometimes. So just understand why the client wants this, and that'll help you to direct them to what they actually want to do. And then look at their requirements. If they're going to write you a check for 5 digits, they probably have an idea of what they want to see in the deliverable. And then define the scope, rules of engagement. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Do they want you to, are we just breaking in through any method necessary? Usually people don't want to replace their $500 locks. Commercial locks are pretty spendy, right? Because we got to keep the Locksport guys out, so that means we need more pins and more goodies in there, rows, etc. Does anybody recognize these guys? Yeah. What's that? Yeah, so these guys were arrested for breaking into a courthouse. Now, it's unclear to me that these guys actually did anything wrong. So I'm not using them as an example of what not to do. I'm using them as an example of what can happen if you don't divine all the different complexities that can come into play. So, according to documents that came out after they're arrested, like cuffed in chrome, you're out of here, back of a police car, you're booked, obviously, we have their mugshots. After the fact, it comes out that the rules of engagement were pretty clear. They had a get-out-of-jail-free letter that called the right people. The breakdown appears to be that the state client didn't notify the local authorities that this was taking place. Am I wrong? Does anybody know better than that? Yeah, so, yeah. Anyway, some miscommunications. Now, I think they did everything right, from what I can tell, from the documentation, but they still went to jail. Like, they went to jail. I think they're out. They got out on bail, I'm sure, but they still have to deal with these charges that exist. If I'm law enforcement, now, did they do anything wrong? I don't think so. They showed up to a state building, and there were people that were seemingly unauthorized to be there. They had tools. By the way, can you be arrested for having tools that could be used to force entry into a building? Can you be arrested for that? I think all states allow this, actually. But there's one piece that there is a caveat. Intent. Who said that? Nice. This guy's my buddy right here. Thank you. Okay, so they have to prove intent. You can walk around with all the Slim Jims in your backpack you want, but if you don't have intent to go in somewhere that you shouldn't be, then you can have those. Possession isn't the crime. But once they prove intent, then they tack that on, just I guess for some more time. I don't know. Not an example of what not to do, but an example of could happen. They probably didn't understand that the state law enforcement wasn't going to tell the local law enforcement that, hey, this is happening, and you're going to be the one responding to any kind of incident. So hard to predict this was going to happen. I think they did everything right. So anyway, be super careful, I guess, is the moral of the story. Okay, so your approach. Are you going to be social engineering? If your social engineering is the best tactic to ask for the manager, probably not. We want as low-level people as possible because they're going to be the ones that have the least amount of training and have been there the less and are probably paid the least. Okay, so if social engineering is your attack approach, I like the Occam's razor approach to social engineering, which is typically, and this has never failed me yet, cross my fingers. Hi, my name is Eric. We're performing a security assessment on your building. No, don't call your boss. He's in on the test. I'm just going to go through this door. 100% of the time it works. For me, it has worked 100% of the time. The last one we did like that, I walked up to the receptionist and I said, we're performing, security assessment, and she said, okay. And I saw her pulling up Slack, and I said, no, you can't message Jim. He's part of the test too. Okay, but he told me not to let anyone in. And I said, that is very good advice. And then she handed over a visitor's badge. So it's hard. This is hard to combat. We're 100% successful so far. I hope I fail sometime. We got in and there were some physical security posters. If you see something, say something type of thing. So that was fun. I did a couple of laps. I'll show you the floor plan of that attack in just a second. So what type of it, when are you going in? During the day is a lot different attack than during the night, okay? So during the day, probably social engineering. If you're going in during the day, like covertly through locked doors, it's weird. I haven't done that yet. Nobody's wanted to do that yet. It's a lot easier just to go in where you're supposed to be going in. So I usually would advise a client against this type of attack, and usually we're going in on the social or a cloned electronic badge, something like that. After hours are different. Obviously, we want to know about any kind of alarm systems. We want to identify, we're going to talk about in a minute about how to identify ingress, egress, and a lot of different approach, right? We don't have a lot of people around. There's nobody in the building. It's just going to be a little bit different, and that's where most of these tools that we're going to talk about today come into play and come in handy. And then, of course, there's the trash audit, which that's where you send the new guy, right, or the new gal. Matt, am I right? Okay. So, and then make sure you identify clear and defined goals. Like, do we want to just enter the building? Do we want to get to a secure location in the building? Do we want to walk out with laptops? Do we want to sit down at an unlocked machine? Like, what are your goals? During the day, unlocked machines are everywhere and awesome. And if you're planned correctly, you can do some stuff in a short amount of time. Usually, it's a selfie in front of the unlocked computer. They don't want a big mess on their network, malware, etc. So that's usually the case. Okay, these two most important things. make sure the client agrees. Okay, and make sure the client agrees in writing. Identify all of the things that you're going to do and that they know you're going to do and that they're good with all of it. Even lock picking is somewhat physically destructive to the lock itself. You're hitting soft brass pins with hard stainless tools. Our tools are a little bit less invasive typically, so anyway, just make sure that they know what you're doing. Hopefully you don't end up like the coal fire guys in jail. We'd like to avoid that. That sounds unpleasant. Okay, so finally, we get to actually doing some stuff. There is no understating the value of OSINT or just flat Googling. Google the address of any building, any commercial building in anywhere, and you will find the listing for when it was sold or leased last. Okay, here's one. This is an engagement we did, and as a result, we were able to identify a couple of places that were potentially problem spots. You can see the big hallway. I'm going to jump down here. You can see the big hallway in the middle. I think I got a laser. It's not very bright. This is all common area, so we can hang out in here as long as we want. There's some bathrooms. Back here from the outside, once we got there, realized there's some double doors there that were potential for being an issue. But you can be there, in my air quotes, before you have to get there, okay? Which could be a problem, especially if you have to travel out of state. If you're just running up to Salt Lake or local, it's not that big a deal. You can get eyes on the location, no big deal. But so for this engagement, I'm going to actually come point to this. We pulled this map, and we were, so call center, instantly. I already know it's a call center. Client told me that, or I could have just Googled it. We see a couple of interesting things. This is the elevator here. It's hard to read on this, but that's the elevator. This is reception. They were not on the ground floor. So from there, we know that if we can get through the elevator and through reception and through this door, we're everywhere, right? There's no control, no physical controls anywhere else. So network room here. So I know that this is some sort of lounge area, so we can probably hang out in there as long as we want to. Now, when we actually got on site, we had this map beforehand. When we got on site, you come out of the elevator and you're immediately facing the receptionist. So there's no like coming up with a plan after you get out of the elevator. Luckily, we had a plan already. I kind of went through it already. That was the same approach I just mentioned to you. What you could do if you didn't have a map or one didn't exist, go up the elevator, walk in, and play the I'm dumb game. Or if you have a person to burn, right, you've got 4 people and you only need to get in 3 times or 2 times or whatever, you can send somebody in, figure out the lay of the land, send it back out. Hey, I'm Eric. I don't know if I'm in the right place. What is this? You know, what am I here? Am I this the right place? Look around. I mean, you could super easy to run a cell phone in your pocket with the camera out. Has anybody ever gotten freaked out by that before? No, because in your pocket, right? Nobody's paying attention to that, but the camera's still shooting at you, right? Super easy. I've done that several times. So lots of ways you can kind of get the lay of the land. That's one of them. Maps are great, and they're all over Google. For sure, I've never done a pen test where I didn't have a map of the building long before I got there. Okay, evaluate once you get there. So some of the doors and the ingress, egress are obvious on these maps. We've got stairs. They're not on the main floor, so there may not be doors straight into the building, but we've got stairwells here that are probably going to be less populated. And then, of course, we've got the elevator. Check out your cameras. There's a couple interesting things on this photo that are probably a little bit hard to see. I'm going to jump down again. Sorry, Pope. This is a door badge reader here. This is a master lock that holds other keys. Everybody's seen those before. Real estate agents use them. 4-digit code, not a ton of entry. Camera here, which is not active, so that didn't help them. And funnily enough, there was another one of these inside the building that was unlocked. So if you have one of those and it's unlocked, you now have the code. And if they're coded the same, now you now have the keys on that outside lock. Or if you have a die grinder, you have the keys on the outside lock. That'd probably be a nighttime activity, would be my guess. But die grinder is a universal skeleton key, very destructive, but super effective. Battery powered, preferably. Okay, so, and then physical security. If you've got some human security in your way, We did one pen test where sometimes people would come in angry to reception, so they contracted with the city, and the city provided a police officer to act as receptionist and play that role. So when we walked in, you walk through the entryway, and there's police officer, taser, 9mm, or whatever he had, body armor, like the whole deal. Like, it's pretty intimidating. And now you have to talk your way. You're nervous already because this guy's he's skeptical of everyone, which is great, right? That's a great trait for law enforcement. But then also, you got to try and get through him to where you need to go. Spoiler alert, we got through. But it was a little nerve-wracking because he's got guns and stuff, right? I don't want to, and handcuffs, those sound unpleasant. Okay, so the reason why most of these tools we're going to talk about work are because of the Americans with Disabilities Act, which I think is great. I'm glad that it provides assistance with physical access. I think that's needed. Unfortunately, it's great for providing access. It's also great for bypassing security. Also, it's great for not having people locked in a building when it's on fire. So there's some safety concerns for sure. But this is most of the things we're going to talk about exist because of this regulation. So maybe some unintended circumstances. Real quick, everybody's seen one of these. Those are everywhere. They go up and down, which is nice. Knobs may be on closets. You may see them occasionally. This would be a lockpick situation unless you can access the catch, which would be what I would go after because picking locks is hard. Crash bars are awesome. They always open from the inside out, and I think you can't lock them, and that might be a fire hazard, but they help. And then doors that open out. So these won't necessarily be on an exterior door, but maybe. I've seen them everywhere. But you've got a huge, you can see that's probably a 5/8 inch of a gap between the door and the catch and the strike plate. And you can kind of see that there's an electronic release there. So you could badge in there, or you could just stick a tool in there and open it because it's super easy. Double doors are great. You can see light between those two doors. Even if you can't see light, usually it's only a weather strip in the way, not like a physical barrier that would prevent you from going through that crack. This is the allowed side. The other side obviously doesn't have the crash bars, but still has the gap. And then the double whammy, double doors that open out, which are my favorite. So a lot of these problems come because setting up doors and fitting them properly is hard, and you're getting paid to set this door. You're going to get paid $300 to set this door, whether it's done right or done mostly right, okay? And then also, this is probably the worst installed garage door in history if that guy can get his fingers in there, but also garage doors are fun, but not necessarily great for commercial buildings. They don't have to always have these, but we're going to play with them anyways. Okay, so let's get to the tools. This is a Jim. Goes by many names. Also, Slim Jim. You've probably heard of that before. It's just a tool. The easiest one to use is the one with the big black handle on it. So let's watch a video about it. So it's very thin but strong. It's made of stainless steel. So let's see. This is a door that actually opens in, but I cheated. So for purposes of demonstration. So let's look at that. Oh, hold on. You're not seeing that, are you? Okay. One sec. Demo fail out of the box. First video. Okay. There we go. Okay. So that's weird. Okay, fine. Broken again. All right. So this is gone already. Little help. What am I doing wrong? Yeah. Okay. Oh, but that's in PowerPoint. Hold. Let me do that. Maybe. Okay. That's true. Okay. So. Yeah. All right. So that's the gym. We're just going to stick it in there, grab the catch, release the catch, just spring-loaded, as everyone knows, and it's open. So that's pretty easy access to that. And then, so if you're on the other side, here is the other side. So this is a little bit different tool, although it can be used the same way as the one with the handle. See, we've got a little bit of gap to work with there. Even if we didn't have a gap, we could still get this tool through. It's pretty thin and pretty flexible and fits in your wallet, which is nice. So this is that tool. Here, let me catch it. So you can see that cutout on the top left there, and that is where you're going to try and aim for the catch. So it's kind of like the credit card trick a little bit. And if you see the bottom of this card, it's cut out so that you can slide it in behind and then pull it towards you. So you don't break your credit card, because the credit card trick does work. But it's easier if it's cut out like this. So I'm just going to go through the gap and push that catch back to release it there, and then door's open. So it doesn't matter what state that door's in, locked or what have you, it's open. Okay, now I don't want to start from the beginning. This is, what's the hotkey? Anyone? Start from your current slide? Nothing? Okay, well, let's try this. Maybe. I'm going to go through these and then show the video since it's so clunky. Okay, so this is on the settings. Thank you, Pope. Okay. Gather. We good? Okay, freak. All right. This is, see, so there's the gyms. We talked about the cutout in the car. It's helpful. Get a little one, get a big one. They've got ones that go on your mole. And this is a double door tool. So this is for, you're going to see that, I've got a video for you in a sec. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to go through that giant gap in the middle where you can see light, turn it, and pull on the crash bar. It's like a $20 tool. And you can make one. You could legit make one if you could like weld, which isn't that hard, right? If you don't know how to weld, learn how to weld, make one. Easy. So that's pretty straightforward. This is an O-ring pick. Has anybody ever worked on cars or anything that required an O-ring pick? Yep, my fellow car nerds. Nice. So all this does is a tool so you can get into a rubber gasket called an O-ring, pull it off because they're really slippery, really hard to get to. You can get this at AutoZone or wherever in a set of 4 with different kind of shapes. Anyway, if you look at it, it's just a straight piece of metal. It's pretty thin and with a hook at the end. That's it. It's kind of pointy at the end. I've got a video for that in a sec. This one's a little bit more advanced. This is the under door tool. It does exactly what it sounds like, which is you can put it under a door, grab your handle latch, and open it. Okay, we'll watch that video. I think, is there one more? Yeah, the ripcord. The ripcord I threw on here just because for unnecessary carnage. I've never used this in a real engagement, but it'll open a garage door from the outside, which I think is awesome. So let me see if I can do this a little more elegantly here. Okay, get that guy out of here. Close that guy. And my finder's gone. Okay, so let's look at, this is not what I want. Give one sec. Obviously, I don't work on a Mac every day. I work on Linux. Does anybody else work on Linux every single day? Primary use, I love it. Very awesome. I don't have these problems with Linux, so computer noob, I guess. Of course, you can't use PowerPoint in Linux, so. Dang it. My skirt is up. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Oh, see, this is my 4th year presenting at SAINTCON. I love SAINTCON. Everybody give a round of applause to everybody that's involved putting on SAINTCON, especially Pope up here. Yes. Okay, double door tool. There she is. This is not a religious building at all. Okay. So there's the tool. Didn't quite fit there. Oh, it looks like it's a bigger gap at the bottom. Perfect. All right, let's go through. I'll feel around to find the crash bar a little bit. There it is. Get in front of it. Give it a little tug, and it's open. So anytime you have, the bar on that is probably 1/4 inch, maybe smaller, might be 3/8. So anytime you've got a gap that big, you're in if it's got a crash bar, which most of these do for egress purposes. Okay, so let's go. Like I said, it's about 20 bucks. Money well spent. Most of these tools you can buy on sparrowslockpicks.com. And it's just easy. You can make your own, or you can just buy them, because that's what I do because I'm lazy. This is the O-ring pick that you can buy at AutoZone or whatever. And I'm on the latch side again. This works great for double doors as well. I'm going to reach in and just turn it, and that's probably the easiest open you'll ever have with an O-ring pick. Sparrows also sells these, but they're really like $5 at AutoZone. So you can just buy one of those. They're easy. And come in handy. They're a little pokey, so make sure you're not putting them in your pocket and running around, jumping off roofs or anything. Okay, this is the underdoor tool from the outside of the door. So you can see this creepy piece of metal coming in from underneath the door. It's all weird, snaky-like. And I actually hook it first try, but think I didn't have it, so I didn't pull. But and I wobble around a little. It looks super weird from this side. And then we're just going to hook that door and give it a little tug. Great. Some doors you don't have, and here's from the other side. Sometimes you won't have as much room underneath. So on those doors, this won't work. Just find a different door. There's usually lots of doors, which is nice. Turns out humans need to get inside and outside, out of buildings. So this is the other side. Slide it under. Curve already forms to where it should go. Use the cable to hold it against the door once you hook it, and then pop the door. So I practiced that my first time. Before doing it, I practiced it for about 10 seconds. So these tools, you don't need a lot of skill to use these tools. I shouldn't tell you that. These tools are impossible to use, and you must pay an expert to get these. Now, they're super easy. That's the upside of just buying these tools are super easy. So this is just for added carnage, right? This is my own garage door. I'm not breaking anyone's house. This is my serious face. You see that? Serious, very serious right now. Okay, so this took a little monkeying. If you don't have glass in your garage door, you effectively mitigate this attack because you kind of need to be able to see. Otherwise, it's really difficult. But this slides up and under. There's a hook. And what you're hooking is the emergency latch release that slides up and down with your garage door. So I've now hooked it. Now I'm going to walk around to the other side. I want to do one continuous roll of the camera so you know I wasn't cheating. And then you can see kind of in the middle there, it's hooked onto the emergency exit or the emergency release. You'll see it a little bit more clearly as soon as it starts moving in a sec. So there's the hook. I've hooked it, and then I pulled it, and I thought I got it, but I didn't. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it again, and it's open. So that's fun. This is fun because nobody wants people breaking into their garage. And typically, does anybody go out and lock their garage at night that has a garage door opener? Please raise your hand if you do that. I like you. You are smart. I am not smart. I've never done that in the history of man. But that's a great idea. And that's the only way to mitigate against this attack. Slide those little latches across at the track on the side. Okay, a couple more tools. How are we doing on time? I don't have a clock. Oh, yes, I do have a clock. Does that mean I have a half an hour left? Got a half an hour left. We don't have a half an hour presentation, just spoiler alert. Okay, so let's go. I think it's this. We'll talk about some extra things, maybe do some Q&A, though. That'll be fun. Okay. What's that? And funny, I don't know how I fixed that last time, to be honest. Gather, is that a thing? Window. Settings. Nope. What if I do this? That was just a slide one way, slide the other way. Sorry. Macs. They just work. Okay. So we talked about those things. So we've got the gym, double door tool, O-ring picks, $5 at AutoZone. So gyms range from $4 to $15 for the nice rubber-handled one. Double door tool is about $20, I think. O-ring picks, $5 at AutoZone. Underdoor tool, that might have been more like $25, $30. And the ripcord was probably like $7. So I think we're still under $50, and you have that whole tool set, which is pretty cool. I mean, you could bypass a lot of things, right? There are a lot of things we bypass. But let's say I'm a college student and I have no money. So I'm not going to spend $50 worth of tools. I got to buy a textbook or whatever. That brings us to our other tools, okay? And the first other tool I'd like to talk about is the Pope method. So this method was taught to me by a man named James Pope, who may or may not be sitting in the front row. And when he was in, I was going to say he was in the film business, but that's not the right term. He was in the theater business, and they sometimes would need to get into the manager's office. Well, believe it or not, the manager's office had one of those levers that locked on the outside but was unlocked on the inside. So what they would do is they would cut off a strip of film long enough to go down over the top of the door, hook the handle, move it over, hook the handle, and then pull it, unlock the door, you're into your manager's office to get whatever. Sometimes it was probably legit. Sometimes maybe they're stealing popcorn buckets. I don't know. Pope Classic can let us know, maybe. But never legit. Okay, perfect. So this is a homemade method. You can buy a roll of film from eBay. This is a trailer for the Prestige, I think, that I bought for about $10 shipped. I don't know. This guy on eBay had a ton too. Okay, so, I mean, Pope may have film for you if you buddy up to him. Otherwise, you can get a trailer on eBay for $10. I want to get the Prestige because it's kind of like magic, right? They also had like Seven Dwarfs and Cinderella, some other stuff. Anyway, it's just film for a projector. That's it. It's super strong. Is it Mylar? Is that what it's made of? Mylar? Mylar's with polyester, so super strong. You can't rip it, which is why it makes great film. Okay, we'll go. I've got a video for that in a sec. This is a ladle. It's a ladle. I'll leave it there. Okay, we'll talk about that. And then this is a camera that can fit the lens. The fat end of that lens is probably about ½ an inch. So if you've got ½ an inch of a gap somewhere, or if you want to go up and over ceiling tiles, or you just want to get a better view of what you're doing, this may fit under the door. It may fit through a crack. It may fit somewhere else. These are, I think they're about $50 on Amazon. You get an app for your phone. It shows you the live feed on your phone. You can take photos. It's got a light on it. So if it's dark, you can turn the light on. You've got lit camera view of wherever you can snake this thing into. Super valuable if you don't know what you're up against on the back side of the door. It's night. The lights are off. But just super easy. I think they're called a boroscope is the technical term. Plumbers put them down your toilet and pipes. I think proctologists use them for other things. But super valuable, super easy. I mean, Amazon, $50, you can have it tomorrow, okay? Probably ships out of Salt Lake. Perfect. And canned air. So I'm sure everybody by now has seen the canned air trick. This is a request to exit sensor, and all it does is tries to sense if there's a human coming towards the door, okay? If there's a human coming towards the door, it unlocks it for you, and you just push it open. Some of them are smart. This is actually one of the smart ones, which I was actually sad and also kind of happy to come against on our last test that we did that has, I believe it's radar, something else that senses if there's really a physical form coming towards it. Some of them are infrared, which just sense, heat or something in the way, something that's disrupting its normal view of the floor that it's been adjusted to sense. So this one was actually one of the good ones, but usually all you need is something to block that view, and you just use one of these cans of air. And in fact, the last pen test we did when I tested this specific request to exit sensor, I didn't have any canned air, and I didn't go to the store because I'm lazy. So Matt and I were just walking around, and I found one in the office, and I just stole it. So that worked, and then, but it didn't work because it was the good request to exit sensors. But if you don't have the tool you need, there may be one on site. Canned air was just sitting on a shelf somewhere in a common area, so it was easy just to 5-finger discount that bad boy. I didn't feel too bad. They were already paying us a lot of money, so probably didn't miss a $1 can of ozone buster. Okay, and this is our favorite, everybody's favorite hacker, Sammy Kamkar, doing this to a request to exit sensor through a glass door, and you can kind of see the foam or the cloud coming up from the bottom and triggering that device, turning green and unlatching the door from the inside, even though the human was on the outside. So these are getting better, but the ones with radar are, guess what? Do you think they're more expensive or less expensive? More. Who said less? Okay. Maybe you guys can get together and lock your garage door guy. He's pretty smart too. Okay. So anyway, I'm not going to demo that. It's like the oldest thing in the world, but still cool. And don't forget, if you don't have what you need, there may be one laying around. Never know. Just look around. Okay, so let's watch some videos. Okay, so if you thought the under the door tool was creepy coming out of the door, the film is even worse. This thing is not my friend. Pope is mocking me from the front row. Okay, so this is super creepy. I don't know why it's super creepy. It's kind of like some sort of death snake coming over the door. Watch this. Tell me that's not super creepy, right? Then you move it around. Full disclosure, I edited the first part of the video off. I missed the first time, but the first time I did this, I practiced for exactly 30 seconds and then got it. And now we've hooked the latch, and since those work in both directions, up or down, you just pull up. There's the film. That's it. So if you don't have a gap under the door, I don't know how thick that film is. I mean, it's super thin, like a 32nd of an inch maybe when you double it over. So you take a length of film. It's probably, I don't know. Do you know the exact length? It's 14 feet long. Fold it in half, and then give it a good crease. Send it through like this until I measured it before, because all doorknobs hit at the same height, right? That's regulation. That's ADA stuff. All doorknobs are the same height. All latches are the same height. So measure on any latch door, any door with a handle. Measure it, cheat, get the right dimensions, draw a line on the film, fold it. Well, that's probably after you fold it. Measure it, mark it, send it over the door to the mark, push the top tape down slightly to open up that film so it hinges on the crease. Slide it across, slide it over that I can't remember the door handle. Give it a tug, and literally the first time I got that, I missed once. This video, I mean, I've done it a few times now, but it's so easy. Like, it's legit so easy. Which leads me to believe that criminals aren't very smart. Has anybody ever thought that? This stuff's super easy. And if you're breaking in somewhere legit and you had this film and you didn't want to get that extra, charge for burglary tools, you just chuck the film somewhere. You think law enforcement is going to know what this film laying in the corner is for or in the trash? They're not going to know what that is. They will now, which I'm glad, because then these bad guys will get an extra charge. But, yeah, I don't know. So, film super creepy. Now, the ladle's hilarious because completely unplanned. I'm with a buddy, and we're doing some work at the shop that he works at, and there's this cage door that you can now see, and we need to get into this cage door. It's kind of the Pope getting into the manager's room, although I don't think he ever did that. That was all his coworkers did that. He wouldn't do something like that. So, and I'm like, well, we need these drill bits to finish this project we're working on. It's like a shop. There's some tools and stuff we can use. And I'm like, well, dang, it's locked. Like, this is probably 3 weeks ago. And I knew I was giving this talk. So when he did it, it was hilarious. Now, we recreated it for dramatic effect, right? But the first time he did, he just walked over, grabbed this ladle, and popped this door. So this is the recreation, but hilarious. That's a ladle. We're going to go right up through that, grab the handle, and we're open. Here's what it looks like from the other side. Creepy ladle handle coming on in. Pop that door, and it's open in a second. Now, the most hilarious part about this is probably how it was at the movie theater, I would guess, is I said, we need that drill bit. He walks the other way to a bench about 10 feet away from this door, grabbed the ladle, and walked over and did it without even, thinking twice about it. The ladle was there. We didn't bring our own ladle. I don't know where the ladle came from, but somebody put a ladle there, and now it opens this door. So, and I'm not totally unconvinced that the guy that works behind this cage doesn't use the ladle just to get into his own shop because it's easier than using a key, right? I mean, that's 10 times faster than using a key and non-destructive, which is the beauty of most of these tools, right? Double door tool. Unless you scratch in between the double doors, it's non-destructive. They'll never know that that's, if you got a guy with the magnifying glass and the crime scene people, they could probably figure it out. Oh, he used the double door tool. And the jury's like, what's a double door tool? So that's kind of the beauty of some of these tools is that they're relatively inexpensive. How much is a lockpick set? Like a decent set with the tension wrenches and the picks. Anybody buy one? Do they sell them? Are they selling them here today? Like somebody's selling them. Vendors. How much are they? $15. Okay. Yeah, they can go from $15 to $300 probably if you bought maybe the gold plated. I don't know. They have gold plated Teflon. I don't know, but they're comparatively priced, right? And film is free. A ladle, you can probably just steal your mom. She won't notice. They probably have them in the drawer at your local religious institution in the kitchen. Don't steal one. That's wrong. No one will miss it. So you could spend about $100 on these tools and do all these things that require zero skill. If you want to be like an expert, practice them for about 15 minutes each. And that's like ninja status, right? If you want to be an expert, it's probably like 7 minutes. And they're easy to use. They're repeatable. Doors are installed improperly everywhere we go. And usually our assessments are a report full of photos of misconfigured doors. And then it's always fun to go to the exit meeting and they go through the report and this is really nice and blah, blah, blah. And then I pull out a tool and put it on the table. I'm like, would you like to see a live demo? They never want to see a live demo, okay? That's like seeing your kid get beat up or something. I don't know. But they don't ever want to do that, but it's fun and it's super easy. So I don't know if that means physical pen testing is super easy. Honestly, I think that social engineering is more, watch this, ready, swipe. Is it gone? It's gone. Boom. Okay. I think social engineering is harder than using these tools. It's definitely less nerve-wracking because usually I use them at night. Excuse me, when no one's around and you got all the time in the world. Social engineering is nerve-wracking and you're always worried that you're not going to get in. You're always going to get in. So if you have this type of engagement, that's not a valid worry, but I still worry about it. So whatever. A couple things that would be great to talk about that I didn't get to, even though we have a little bit of time. But so HID 26. Anybody familiar with HID 26? Raise your hand if you've heard of HID 26 before. Everybody uses these for badge systems, right? There's very few alternatives. There's several alternatives. Nobody uses them because they're more expensive. This is probably the slide to take a photo. It's got links and stuff, although nothing to what I talked about. So it's super easy to clone. I'm sure that I think there is another talk this week about HID 26 or RFID or door badges. Go to it. It's super easy. You can make a long-range reader based on that link it's a little more expensive if you buy the big reader. It's probably, I think that thing on eBay is about $70, $80. You got to come up with some batteries and stuff. But off the shelf with step-by-step instructions, you can build a badge clone or badge reader that'll grab it from probably 3 to 5 feet away. We've grabbed them in bathrooms before. Somebody at the urinal walked by on the way to the stall, grab it. grab them in line at lunch outside the Crown Burger next to the your Target building. That's super easy. I don't know that I've done a physical assessment at a building or even been at a building for any other kind of engagement that didn't use HID26. Like, they all use this because it's cheap, it works well, 100% not secure. Like, I would say a high schooler could build this long-range reader, but you don't even need to be a high schooler. You could be, grammar school. If you can solder, you can build this thing. SB key is super cool for lots of reasons. One of the reasons you can, if you don't know what that is, it reads the data coming off the line from the badge readers. So it's super small. It's like the size of a quarter. You can put it inside of a reader. You can couple it with the long-range reader. It has a web interface. So you could be on your phone looking at your web page from the SB key, walk by somebody, know the code you grabbed instantly, and then have it to program other keys with. And to program other keys, do I have to put a link on there? Yeah, Proxmark. So the Proxmark, there's an expensive one that's $300. There's a cheap one. That's a link to the cheap one. It's like $220. Clone HID26 all day, along with many other types of cards. Replay them, brute force. You can put in a list of codes you want to roll through, hit the button, put it next to the reader. When it hits a code it recognizes, pops the door. So HID26 is super awesome because it's super vulnerable, but also a little bit of sad inside, right? Because everybody's still using and installing these, including the biggest religious organization in Utah. Uses this on most of their buildings. I don't know by experience. I've just heard things about that. So another thing, key to like systems. So Deviant Olem, if you're familiar with who that is, he gave a talk at the Wild West something sec. Never heard of it before. I'm sure it's in Texas or something. I'm sure somebody else has heard of it. Anyway, it's on eBay. It's on YouTube. It's worth 50 minutes a watch. He talks about some of this stuff, and then he goes into some other things like key to like systems. Shows you his key ring of keys that go to things that are just key to like, right? Like, have you ever gone to a gated community and they've got the panel there and you can push the buttons to call your friend to let you in? Super annoying. They're all key to like. There's 2 brands and they're all key to like. So you buy 2 keys and you have keys to all of them. Open it, bridge like 2 contacts, or push a button depending on the brand and it pops the gate. So there's tons of stuff like that. Gas pumps, police cars. I was at a gas pump the other day, and now we're not even worrying about keys. They just have a tape across where it opens, so that if somebody happens to go out there in 3 months and see the tape's broken, then maybe there's an implant on that pump. I don't know what the tape. I don't know what requirement that's filling, but it's a terrible idea. And then file cabinets, elevators. So anyway, lots of stuff, lots of ways to not break into things. Not using lockpicks. So that's definitely not the only method in town. Thanks for coming. Happy to field any quick questions if anybody has any. We've got a couple of minutes. Pope.
I have a comment, and that's the worst thing to ever say. There's film at the DC 435 booth for free.
Sweet. Pope said there is film at the DC 435, which is another part of Utah, not here. So we're glad they're here giving away free film. So is that in the vendor area downstairs? So get your free film, 14 feet of free film at the DC 435. That's Pope's Hood, I believe.
And air wedges are your friend for all physics.
Ooh, air wedges are also good, which are little rubber pillows that you can just blow up and they expand things away from other things. I didn't even think about that. That's a great.
All gaps bigger.
Yeah, all gaps get bigger with the air wedge. And they're hopefully non-destructive unless you like pump them up into oblivion or something. I don't know. Great. Nice comments. Thank you. Yes, sir. Cookie sheets to defeat a gated system? I have not. Sounds awesome, though. Go on. Yeah. Okay. So on he's saying some of the gate systems on your exit, it's looking for something metal above it, and if you slide a cookie sheet, that'll trigger that and pop the gate for you. So what's that? Oh, anything metal, yes. And are some of them motion sensor, or are they all metal? Okay. Yeah, sounds like metal. Works for me. Cookie sheets, I like it. Better than a ladle even, really, right? I mean, yes, sir. Is it the latch that has like the arm with the ball, and then you slide the latch over the ball? Huh, that makes sense. So if you broke the two middle pieces out of a fork and then shove it through the crack, maybe? Is that the attack? I haven't heard of that specific one. I try not to break into hotel rooms. Nobody's paid me to do it yet, so I'll keep you posted. But that's cool. I like plastic forks breaking into place. That sounds awesome. Yes, sir. Awesome. So an alternative to the canned air attack on the request to exit sensor, just blow up a balloon through the crack in the double door and then let it go. Perfect. And I wonder if that would get the radar ones or not. That'd be interesting to test. Because those ones are they're pervious to the smoke at least. I don't know. I heard vape works too. I'm not a big vapor, but yeah, anything you can get through there, yeah. I mean, those things are, if they're set up right, they're better. And I've seen them set back, too, from the door where you've got, most of the time they're on a door frame, but sometimes they'll put them on the ceiling back 6 feet, which is better. The balloon would still kick it, though, I think. Nice, nice. Building you were already authorized to enter. Awesome. I like it. All right. Thanks, everyone.